What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from the Real Fan Review, coming out of Long Island, New York. Ooh, that COVID voice still hurts. Yeah. Guys, it came back for me again, man. They tried to get me. We got my brother B.
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
We got our man in the chair, Al.
How's it going, everybody?
Yeah, we are back. The three of us are here. No Sanj tonight, man, especially when we record on Mondays. It kind of messes up Sanj's schedule a little bit, man, but that's all right. We're going to talk for Sanj, and we're going to talk for the fans out there, especially fans of the MCU. We tried to talk about Phase 4 last week with the Thor Love and Thunder review, but we ran out of time because we kept talking about so much issues and things that we saw in Thor Love and Thunder. So I figured, we'd make a separate podcast, because there's a lot of questions about Phase 4 and what we're watching and what's happening in Phase 4. So we're going to get it going and talking about that today. So before we go talk about Phase 4, just want to make sure you guys know COVID's real. It's back. It came after me again, man. And it was a nice bout this time. I was ready for it with the COVID vaccine shots and all that stuff like that. And what's the third shot called? The
booster.
The booster. Yeah, man. I mean, and listen, it still messed me up a little bit. So look, I know there's a lot of people out there who don't want to take the vaccine and do the booster shot and all that stuff like that. But again, I can only imagine how I would have felt if I didn't have those things in my body to help fight this thing off. Yeah. So, guys out there, if I could just put one thing that's not movie related is, protect yourself, make sure you get your boosters, your vaccines and everything like that, because it was, it went around my house pretty fast. So just be careful out there. So we'll get back to the movie stuff right now. Just a little, I work for a hospital, man. I got to talk about these things. So let's get into Phase 4 here. I mean, Al, talk to me, man. I mean, so far Phase 4, let's talk movies. We got the Black Widow, we got Spider-Man No Way Home, Eternals, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. We also have Thor Love and Thunder that we just watched. I'm trying to think if there's anything I missed. Oh, Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings there. We got those. And then as far as the TV shows go, we got WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We got Loki. We got Miss Marvel, Moonknight, What If, and Hawkeye. So we have a whole bunch of shows and a whole bunch of movies. And I just want to know, so far, what you're thinking on Phase 4 so far. How do you feel about Phase 4?
I have no idea about Phase 4 because I have, again, they're going, the only thing that seems common is deities, like gods of some form. Or religion, if you even want to go that specific, because other than that, they're all over the place. To your point, you have Spider-Man No Way Home, which introduces multiverse. Then you go to WandaVision, which is dealing with magic, and then the shows, and none of the shows really touch on anything specific. They just deal with each of those characters' storylines. Then you go back to the movies, you have Multiverse of Madness, again, dealing with multiverses. But then you have Eternals dealing with some form of a god in the Celestials, creating planets and universes. Then you go back over to Thor, Love and Thunder. And again, we're dealing with gods and their followers and so forth. And even Moon Knight, you're dealing with gods and realms and so forth. So I have no idea. Are we dealing with gods? Are we dealing with magic? Are we dealing with people? The only common trend that I see throughout any of these storylines is like for lack of a better words, right now, drawing a blank, the inferior fighting against their superior. So for example, what I'm trying to say is like you have the followers fighting against the gods. You have in the Eternals, you had the creations fighting back against the Celestials and their creators. So there seems to be this fight between those that were supposed to follow and those that were supposed to be followed. So I don't know if that's the overarching trend and there's supposed to be some big bad in the God theory realm that we're going to have come out at some point. I just don't have any indication as to what direction they're going. Like I've been enjoying the shows and I've been enjoying the movies, but I have no idea if there's a direction we're going in. I have no idea what it is.
Gotcha, man. I think there's another little thread which is kind of weird, which is relics. We have the 10 rings showing up. We have Miss Marvel showing with the bangle. We also have the sword with the necromancer and the ebony blade. So it's like it's weird. It's like deities, gods, and relics, and again, like you were just basically saying, like the followers almost challenging the gods. And it's like, what is the purpose of all this? What's going on? What's really going down at the end? Are we fighting gods? Is it us versus gods? Which I don't really understand either, because it's weird. Everyone has these different gods, and it's funny because I would think that the MCU, or more in general, like movies, they stick to one specific god, but this is saying every god is real. The Egyptian gods are real. The Greek gods are real. The eternal people gods are real. Then you got the freaking the it wasn't a Pokemon. It was a dumpling god.
Yeah.
A dumpling god is real. It's just like, so pretty much anything you believe in exists, is real, and is out there, and you either pray to it or you don't, and it doesn't care. And I'm like, all right, but what are we getting to? Because then we also got the Multiverse of Madness. We have the theory that, again, it's not even clear. We think that Loki killing the female Loki, killing the He Who Remains, which is supposed to be our Kang as well. We feel like we were told that Loki killing Kang, or the He Who Remains, is the reason why the timelines are going crazy. But then in Spider-Man No Way Home, it's like it's going crazy because there was a spell that was cast with a bunch of errors. And then even in Multiverse of Madness, it really wasn't Multiverse of Madness because of the timelines. It was because they went through different multiverses to find the different versions of Doctor Strange, or the different versions of Wanda, so she could find the different versions of her kids. So it's like, it's innuendoed in the background that, like, oh, the reason this can happen is because of all this. But I'm like, but wouldn't have they done that without Loki doing all this shit with the He Who Remains? So it's kind of like just really weird, because it's not really like this is why. It's not a central story going through all of these TV shows and movies. So I'm kind of lost there. And when we get to talk about specifics on these shows, I guess you'll see why. But I'm curious to know, Brandon, what's your through line for Phase 4? Like, what do you think that we're really hinting at? Because we've gotten, like Al said, the gods. I say the relics. Somebody else says the multiverse. What are you thinking?
I kind of see this as a two-parter. First off, the ramifications of Thanos and the snap. All of these stories in some way or another have touched upon this is happening now, or something's happening, or the world has changed, or the universe has changed because of Thanos and the snap. Because of what he did 5 years ago, everything has changed, And then, we've seen the effects on Hawkeye. We've seen how that affects Miss Marvel and her show, how that affects the Eternals. Like, would Asherim have done the same thing if he didn't know that Thanos was going to be there? If he knew Thanos was going to do what he did, would he have done the same plan? Considering Thanos was going to basically eliminate his whole plan. Like Asherim said, I need a lot of people, and Thanos said no. So like,
Thanos is a hero.
Right? So like a lot of these stories have intertwined themselves around the idea of this is what happened because of the snap, because of Thanos. And I think about it, when we go back to 2016 and we saw Infinity War, up until that point, we had never seen our heroes lose. Like they never lost like that. Like Age of Ultron, they got their asses whooped, but like the next day they went and fixed it. They stopped Ultron in less than what an age should have been. But
It was the week of Ultron.
the 3 days of Ultron.
3 days of so, not necessarily an age of Ultron.
So that whole snap in Infinity War basically changed everything. And that leads into what I think is the second part, and I like to call it like the Age of Heroes, because leading up to Infinity War, we had a a set group of heroes that are around the world. They formed our adventures. Then we had some magicians, and we had, Wakanda, and we just had some separate groups here and there. The Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, we didn't have all these heroes. We had several groups of heroes who came together to stop Thanos, this big threat, this big bad. And then after the events of Infinity War, we now have all of these people who have found power in some way, shape, or form, who have come into their own, like the Eternals. The Eternals had their own thing. They've been around for millennia, but they came into their own, towards the end of the movie, that they became free sentient beings, not held and tethered by anything. You've got Shang-Chi, you've got Miss Marvel, you have all of these superheroes now who have grown in the shadow or in the image of the Avengers, and now we have over 52 hours worth of content regarding all of these heroes. And with Thor Love and Thunder, we have even more. You now have the mighty Thor, who I'm not convinced is done. You now have Hercules, who's on his way. You have even more heroes on their way.
The Young Avengers.
We have the Young Avengers. We even have the Thunderbolts. Even though they're not heroes, they're another group of superpowered being who are going to be doing something good potentially. So I think what happened was twofold. Thanos snapped, changed everything, but you also have the Avengers who risked everything to stop him, and now we have this global community of superheroes, and we're growing a universe.
Yeah, I got you, man. And I'm wondering more and more, Al, is it the fact that these movies have not really hit like a lot of the ending movies in the first three phases of MCU world, where we're having these expectations and it's not being met? I think the only one that has met the challenge as of right now has been Spider-Man No Way Home. And I think that everything else has been like either a letdown of some sort. And I wonder if the letdown is more on us expecting it to be like phase 1, 2, and 3, or is the letdown in these movies that they're not the quality of those phase 3, 1, 2, and 3 movies?
I'll speak for myself. For me, I think it's the first part. I got used to there being a connection. This was the MCU universe. So because you were dealing with so many superpowered beings, there was always an overlap. You had, there was a common thread between all these movies, and each movie alluded to that thread. You always knew where the next direction for the story was, because the after cut, the cutscene at the end of the credits always let us know what was the next direction, what was the next movie, who was coming, what was next. We don't have that anymore. Every cutscene is alluding to that movie by itself,
right? Or new character kind of thing.
Yeah, or it's something new about that movie, about those. Like the Eternals didn't allude to what was next in the MCU; they alluded to their own story, by bringing in Star Fox. Even No Way Home just dealt with itself. Thor just referenced Thor returning. Like everything is self-contained, which is great. But when you spent the first 23 movies of your universe establishing that everything is connected, and now you're not showing a connection or what your common thread is or how they play into one another. I mean, other than Wanda coming into Doctor Strange, we really don't have a common thread. Every movie seems to be dealing with themselves. And so that, it to me, is leading to, from why I say I have no idea where we're going, because we're just dealing with each individual aspect for the most part. And I keep looking for what's that trend, what's that thread, where do we go? And I'm not seeing it. Now, again, it hasn't, thankfully, hasn't taken away from my overall satisfaction of the stories. Some of them are weaker than others. Obviously, we have like Eternals and Thor 4, but overall, they've been, MCU movies, which are overall entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, Al, do you find that that connection not being met in the next movie or any near movie next to it, besides I think WandaVision leading to Doctor Strange and some of the other movies there. But I mean, there's no connection really between Falcon and the Winter Soldier. you know Spider-Man No Way Home is pretty much just in-house kind of thing.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know and then again you got Multiverse of Madness, which looks like it's just going to be about Doctor Strange either 3 or maybe possibly if we go to Secret Wars. Are you annoyed a little bit by it, or are you okay with it that it's just like, all right, another dangling thing that we have to keep an eye on for later down the road?
I mean, for me, it's okay. It's
Mhm.
just getting used to it. Like I said, I've been so programmed to look for the threads, look for the
Yeah.
Easter eggs that show that these movies are all in the same universe, that I guess when I don't see it, it almost to a certain degree, it takes me out of each of these movies
Mhm.
because I don't get that common thread and what's joining everything together.
Right.
And it's to the point where it's having to look at these movies not as part of a whole, but just their own standalone.
Right.
And and in a way, it's almost gonna. I mean, I hope there's some big event that all of a sudden somehow brings them together, and we're like, oh shit! Now I see what combines them or links
Right.
them. But as of right now, I don't see it. And if Kevin Feige has some underlying thread through all these movies, it's going to have to be like a Sixth Sense reveal where at the end you're like, oh shit, now I can see it all throughout the movie how
Right.
this was always there.
I
But
hope
as
it's a Sixth Sense thing. Like, oh my God, he's a genius. I mean, Brandon, like if you think about what Al's kind of saying here, is like, I remember Iron Man 1. We had Samuel L. Jackson playing Nick Fury, telling us about the Avengers Initiative, which was which we were working towards. Incredible Hulk. The end credit scene was Captain America was inside of ice underneath this like, glacier thing. And then Iron Man 2, Black Widow was in there, and it's just like on and on and on. Avengers, we got the preview for Thanos in that one. We got Age of Ultron, we got the preview for something else. I remember Ant-Man gave us the preview to Winter Soldier. So I see what Al's saying about those post-credit scenes were like that. But now this one, do we know what the beacon and the 10 rings are? It's like 4 movies later and how many shows later, and we still don't know what that thing was a beacon to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think since we've now introduced so many heroes, to this MCU, I think what's going to happen now is, in the broader scheme of things, they're going to start kind of interweaving heroes together,
Mhm.
kind of in the way that we've been seeing Wong with several heroes. We've been
Right.
seeing Doctor Strange crossover. We now know, and we have known, that the Marvels movie is going to have Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, Monica Rambeau. Like we know it's going to have all these people in it. So I think what's going to start happening is all of these movies now are going to start kind of interweaving Marvel characters together, working them together, maybe less standalones, unless needed, to kind of build a bigger picture. Like maybe these are leading somewhere, but to get there, these heroes are going to start working together in a sense. You have 3 heroes in one movie. You have the Hulk and She-Hulk and Abomination together, and Abomination's supposed to be in Thunderbolts. Like at this time, I'm seeing how these people can weave. The only person I don't know who's going to weave is Shang-Chi. Like I don't see Shang-Chi appearing in the Marvels,
Right.
I don't know if his bangles and the 10 rings are like connected, like it just, I'm trying to put more threads together. But as we hear more, and as as we get more alludes to the Black Panther movie, Wakanda Forever, and the chance that Namor can be in it, and the chance that we might see some other characters that might lead into another franchise, I think we're starting to get like our Marvel universe as it is, where heroes are now meeting with other heroes and having entangled stories. I can, I already see that Sony's already working on Spider-Man Mobius thing, like it's just like I can see we're trying to weave characters together now, where when we have Secret Wars, it doesn't have to be like a whole explainer movie of, oh, I know you, I've seen you in this event, oh, I've never heard of you. Like, it's now like, oh, we know each other and now we're on Battle World. Like,
Right.
I can see how that could be where it's leading to. It's just, I think the biggest problem is we have had so much content in these last few years, and that's probably because of COVID, with all the everything.
Right.
We have now had more content in the last 2 years than we have in the entire 12 years of phase 1 through 3. We have 52 hours of content, where phase 1 through 3 with 34. So we now have doubled the amount of content from the first 3 phases in just 2 years. And I think it's not like overload, but like Al's point, we've had so much that like we're now wondering, when does it all connect? Do I have to wait another 52 hours to get some kind of stem of connection? Where am I going? Who's the big bad? What's going on?
Right. I'm going to tell you guys something. I'm going to have, I don't want to say it's a hot take. It's not a hot take. I think it's just something real that needs to be said. I don't think Marvel or the MCU should have ever done Disney Plus shows. I think everything that they've done so far could have been a movie. I think WandaVision could have been a movie. I mean, I can see why it's serialized, because it does make sense to be this show is the 50s, this show is the 60s, this show is the Wonder Years, this show is the, what was the show that was on ABC that everybody used to laugh at?
Family
I forgot
Time.
the name of
No.
not
Full
Family
House?
Time. Well, Family Time, Full House, yeah. And then the one that was from most recently, where all the funny people looking at the camera and talking. It's like, I get why that one was a TV show, and it worked. WandaVision worked, but I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier could have been a movie. I think Miss Marvel could have been a movie. Moonknight probably could have been a movie, and it probably would have been better as a movie. You know what I mean? But some of these shows are either adding to the confusion of what's really happening or what's going on, or a little bit of the lack of quality that we're getting from the MCU right now. And I'm like, I wonder if we're better off without the MCU being all over the place, because I feel like Kevin Feige is not on top of it like he used to be. When he was in charge of running 3 movies a year, 4 movies a year, it felt like everything was tight. And I feel like they even said recently, like, he didn't have the time to touch Multiverse of Madness. He just let Sam Raimi do whatever he wants to do. He said, you know what, he'll check the one shots here and there, but he wasn't on top of it like he was for the first phases or the first 3 phases. You know what I mean? And I wonder if he's being spread too thin with all these shows, all these different things happening all at once. It seems like it's a lot. You know what I mean? But I don't know. What about you, Brandon? What you think about the Disney Plus shows there for the MCU?
I say the same sometimes, depending on the show. Like, I think about some of these shows and wonder if it was necessary. Like, I've had no hatred for the Loki show, but at the same time, I feel like that could have been something itself. It could have been a movie where, we led into some more. Falcon the Winter Soldier, as much as I liked it, another thing that could have been a movie, that could have been Captain America 4.
Right.
I feel like, and to your point, like, there is so much on the table that I hate to see or hear that Kevin Feige said, this is the point we need to get. This is the point we need to get for this one. This is the point we need to get for this one. Make it happen. I hate to hear that that's what's happening, and I know that was the case for some of the shows. Like, this is what I need you to touch on to make sure that we can move on with this matter. And however you do it is fine. I want your artistic style. But then we start having the issues like the multiverse makes no sense at first. Like, truthfully, I didn't understand the multiverse because it's a simple concept, but they just, every show added to something that made it not make sense. And then this movie started adding to something that now I'm confused. First we had Nexus events, then it was time and the sacred timeline, and then it was the multiverse itself. And then all of a sudden it was whatever incursions, dimensions, incursions. They have like all of these things to explain the multiverse and how things can go wrong within it. But in all of that, they have now confused everybody with understanding how the multiverse even works. Is it the sacred timeline got split and that's why we have all these universes now? Or did all the universes always exist? Like it's very confusing to think about because they keep adding to it. And then, if it's not the multiverse, you now have all of these other dimensions now. We have the dimension where
the Nor dimension, the dark
the Nor
dimension.
dimension. And actually, I was actually really happy that there was a good explanation in Miss Marvel of the Nor dimension as dimensions work in our time. Because when we go back to like Doctor Strange, the mirror dimension and all these things, they made it seem like those were universes. And, when we talk about other movies, like Thor was a very big confusing thing for me. Because when Thor talks about the 9 realms, it made it seem like these realms were places you had to get a gate to get to, like the Bifrost, right? When realistically, it's a planet.
It's a planet.
It's a planet in space that has gravity differently. It just, that's where I started to lose it. Was I thought the 9 realms was a realm. Like, I don't want to know that anybody can take a spaceship and land on Asgard. Like that's where it started to lose me a bit. It was when we talk about universes, realms, dimensions, and they're all the same thing. So it's like
you guys out there still have to fucking explain to me Talo. What? Is it a place? Is it a dimension? Where is this place? Like,
if we're gonna say the word realm, we now have to clarify: is the realm a planet in space, or is it a dimension that I can access, through some way, doorway, whatever? So like, it's just, and understandably, like, that was young Marvel. This is older Marvel now, and they're trying to fix some of these retcon some of these things. But, even now, Thor in Thor 4, they were using the Bifrost to travel through space, so it's like all of these places can be reached.
And they went to the shadow dimension. This one,
the shadow dimension, was a planet in the middle of space. Eternity was at the end of space. So like, it's a little confusing what a realm, a dimension, what are multiverse, what do all these things mean? So the more they add, the more confusing it starts to be.
Yeah, definitely, man. Al, how about yourself, man? Back to like the basic question of it, which is, how do you feel about Disney Plus with their shows and what they're doing as far as Disney Plus goes?
I guess it goes to my overarching issue, which is there's no connectivity. When they introduced these shows, one of the things they stressed in the beginning was, oh yeah, no, these are part of the MCU. It's not like Agents of Shield. This is in the universe. This is part of our MCU universe building. They're part of it. But again, like, realistically, there's, other than the fact that they reference and comment to other events, there's no interaction. You don't have, I don't see the connectivity other than the fact of, you now have Miss Marvel, which, although a great show, I love that show. I like the creativity, the artistry that they did with the show. The way they introduce and develop the character and her side characters, but I felt like it was like, it's, especially the ending was to set up the Ms. Marvel's movie, and that was the only one I felt was fully developing a character that was to then be in a movie, and that's the only one in all these shows that I feel was done for that purpose. The only other one I feel where I saw that connection would be Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because it showed Falcon's development and transfer from Falcon to Captain America. So now we'll be able to understand, what he went through in order to become Captain when he's in the next Captain America movie. But other than that, like, I don't see how it's helping explain, other than it's creating more confusion, because like you said, Ms. Marvel introduced this new realm. WandaVision was supposed to introduce dimensions, or helped with the universes. So which is it? Are we dealing with universes, dimensions, or are we dealing with planets that are were confused for different
Right.
realms of dimensions because of how far away they were and the technology and what was the Bifrost being used to get there. So
Right.
what are we dealing with? Like, there's
Yeah.
nothing consistent there in terms of
Right.
what everything is. I would like to, what they were doing, like B said, with Thor, like, oh no, it's not some magical place. It's an actual planet. We're just confusing it for magic because, like they say, any seriously, advanced piece of technology can be confused for magic. So
Right.
that's what, at that time of our development, that's what we thought we were seeing. Meanwhile, it was just technology, just, a further sense of development. So now to go back to, oh no, this is magic. Oh no, this is this. That, like, I don't, what direction are you going in? Like, we
Right.
went this one, now we went back, and now we're going left, and then we're coming back. Now we're going to go down. I guess like I said before, I want to see some form of a direction. Otherwise, you're just telling me enjoy these as their own standalone, separate movies.
Right. No, I hear you, man. And listen, it is a bit confusing, but I do have to admit that I do like a lot of what I see. But the fact that I just said like is what bothers me, because I loved so much of the MCU before Phase
Yeah.
4. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so much stuff that I still watch and rewatch and think about. I still think about, the snap. I still think about Endgame. I still think about Avengers, the very
Yeah.
first one. Winter Soldier,
Uh,
and it's just like I want those feelings again. I want that Civil
uh,
War
th-
epic movie
yeah,
like
that's the
that.
one I was going to
You
cite.
know,
Civil War. You had everybody, but
Civil
you
War was
still felt
missing.
they all had
Yeah.
their part.
Absolutely, man. I want to see it, but it's like, I get it. They earned it by the way that they stuck to those simple characters and just brought them up and had them experience something that led to something else. And now I feel like it's just like bleh, all these people all at one shot. You know what I mean? And there's no we keep saying there's no through line to where it's going to. So listen, before we go into the future of MCU Phase 4 here, let's talk about what has been either our favorite or our best things of Phase 4 so far, whether it's the TV show or the movies. So, I mean, Al, what has been like your favorite, I guess, Disney Plus show out of the Disney Plus shows that we've watched?
Surprisingly, I would say, for me, at first it was WandaVision, but it was
Right.
the first one. Now I would say I have a tie between Moon Knight and Ms. Marvel.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, only because to me the story and the acting in both were done so well. You know,
Right.
you had Oscar Isaac in Moon Knight giving us, or giving me at least, I'll speak for myself, a character I knew nothing about, and by the end
Mm-hmm.
of that show, I felt I knew and
Right.
rooted for and wanted to, achieve what he was trying to do. Whereas
Okay.
in every other movie, I've known the character, I knew what they were about, and that's why I was rooting for them. That wasn't the case with Moon Knight. I completely introduced him in the
Mm-hmm.
first episode, and by the last one, was a big fan. And same thing with Ms. Marvel. Like the way they
Right.
introduced her character, the lightheartedness of a lot of the art being in the background of the scene on the walls.
I still love the text
Kid, oh
messages.
yeah. Like,
Yeah, text
I
messages was
thought that was
crazy.
so cool the way they incorporated
Yeah.
everything into that show, the way they displayed the family dynamic, the way, you just saw this girl developing with discovering she had these abilities, learning how to use these abilities, and then becoming the hero at the end. And then, I'm sure you'll probably touch on
Mm-hmm.
it later, finding out what she really is, in the
Right.
MCU, and knowing that they chose this show to introduce that. Um,
Right.
it quickly became my favorite. As much as it's not as serious as a lot of the other shows, to me,
Mm-hmm.
it was one of the shows that I most wanted to see the next episode and couldn't wait for it to come out.
Gotcha, man. One of my favorite shows, which I still think about, but funny I haven't watched again. And it's two of them. It's Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I loved how deep Falcon and the Winter Soldier was getting. regarding a black man taking on the mantle of Captain America. I thought that shit was incredible. I was like, are they really going there? I'm like, are we really doing this? 2021? Let's do it. Let's talk about it. Let's go, Mackie. You know, like just the story of it, the way that the original, I guess you could say, original soldier that they tested it on after, Cap, his story about how he was, put in prison. And he was just like, if a black man takes on the mantle, he'll never look at them the same. And it was, I loved that shit. I was eating it up. I was like, yeah, let's do this, talk about it, But I really enjoyed Loki, man. Loki was really cool and interesting because I was like, where is this going? And then the craziest thing about it was, I remember we all were theorizing that Kang was going to be in the final episode. And it was quote unquote, not Kang, it was the He Who Remains. And for what, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, that man just talked. Was the most like thrilling shit. Cause I'm like, he's talking crazy. like I love this guy, and I'm like, where is this going? And it just left so many thoughts and theories. And of course, Secret Wars came up in that thought process, like multiverse war, you start thinking about those things. And I really liked the Loki character a lot, and seeing him go through the in and outs of figuring out who he is. And the whole love relationship with the female Loki was weird and crazy at the same time, but I really enjoyed it. I thought WandaVision, I'll never forget week to week us losing our minds about what is going on and what's going to happen next in WandaVision. So there's as much as the shows, I think that they were better off as movies. I can't front that they were entertaining week to week though. You know what I mean? So those were pretty cool for me, man. Brandon, how about you, man? Disney Plus shows, which ones stood out for you the most?
I would say Moonknight and Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
There was like it was an interesting charm about Falcon and the Winter Soldier that made me feel like this could have been Captain America 4, but it's just the way the show played out. The only gripe I have about the show is Sharon Carter. Like, that's the only problem I have with that whole show. Yeah. Just, that's it. Like, everything else, like, I thought, race relations regarding Captain America, I thought that was appropriate, and I thought it actually worked very well for the story. As much as people tend to harp on this show for that very reason, it's just those people weren't ready for that. But
ready for it, Brandon.
That show, it worked well, and people who are insensitive about it, they just didn't understand it, But I thought that show was, regardless of race relations, like, that show was perfect, in terms of what it did to honor the memory of Captain America while instilling a new one, instilling Anthony Mackie to want to become the new Captain America. And Bucky kind of also letting go of, the idea that he's not going to be Cap, but the understanding that he's a person who's going to live his life too, like, I thought that those tropes there were very important and was great. And then Moon Knight, I just thought was pretty badass, Moon Knight has never been one of the strongest people in a comic. Moon Knight can get wasted by Spider-Man. Like, literally, like, Moon Knight is like nothing spectacular. But I think the idea that Moon Knight and Blade and, all of these people, the Black Knight, that they can probably form the Midnight Suns and do like a crazy movie. Like, it's intense to me.
Yeah, man. Absolutely, man. And just, really quick shout out to Oscar Isaac for playing 2 or 3 different characters and making them be like 2 different people on the screen.
You would think he had a twin.
Dude, he killed it as Moon Knight. What's it
You
called?
would think he was the Olsen twins.
For real. Oh, man. And then as far as the movies go, Al, talk to me. What movie... Hey, don't sell out and just go Spider-Man No Way Home, Al. We all love Spider-Man No Way Home. Yeah. But, again, we have The Eternals, Black Widow, Multiverse of Madness, Thor Love and Thunder, Shang-Chi. Did anything like really stand out to you, or like you were like, what, that was actually pretty cool?
Of all of them, I would say Shang-Chi. Only because I liked where they seem to be going. Like, of all the movies, that was the one that, to me, I guess by bringing Wong in and showing that, he was, I guess, trying to train Abomination by putting
Mm-hmm.
him in there. I thought that was a cool, I guess, attempt to connect the rest of the movies in the universe. But I liked the way they played out and introduced, like you said, dimensions. Like there was where the mother came from, and then you had this dimension that was on the other side of that wall where the bad guy, the demon was coming from,
Right.
and tempting, and then the mystery of the rings and where did they come from, where were they, where were they sending this signal to, who were they trying to communicate. So it made me say, okay, cool, this is where we're going. Like that's the
Mm-hmm.
one where only I would say at the end of the movie where I had the biggest feeling of, okay, I had a feeling of where they might be going. And then
Right.
they said, oh yeah, what about that house? Like it was like they were a kid. They were just like they forgot they did it. Is how I
Right.
feel. So I would like to see what that whole meeting, because you had Hulk. I mean, not Hulk. You had Bruce Banner. You had
Right.
um, you had Captain Marvel talking about it. Abby. So to bring in that meeting of minds and not follow up with it on any movie after, I thought it was a disappointment. But that was the
Mm-hmm.
one where I had the most excitement as to where it looked like they were going when I left the theater.
Gotcha, man. I think for me, the movie that kind of like messed me up a little bit that I was like, that was actually pretty cool was Eternals. And I can't even believe I'm saying that. I remember leaving Eternals talking about, you know what, man, it's getting killed out there. And I'm like, I kind of like this, man. I like the whole like these people were created to then take the world over and let it become a freaking seed
Mm-hmm.
for one of these things, but of course that one is the most weirdest fucking drop off. Is there's this freaking huge ass robot shit god out hanging outside with his hand like this in the ocean, and no one's mentioned it in like 6 TV shows and 4 movies. It's just like, no, nobody see that. You don't see that
You
thing.
don't see that head or that hand sticking.
It hasn't been mentioned once since that episode there, since that movie. But I did like the story of it, and I got the story really quickly. I thought it was interesting. Like, now that I watch Game of Thrones, thanks to my brother and making sure that I watch Game of Thrones, seeing Robb Stark and Jon Snow. Come on now. Come on now. Yeah, it was
first time
heart-wrenching.
they acted together since.
He said, the next time I see you, I'll be in all black, and he was in all black in Eternals. But I honestly, I loved all the actors in the movie. I thought they all played a great part. Angelina Jolie played a great. Was Athena she was playing as?
Stina, yeah.
Athena, Makari. Oh, dude, that whole movie, Fastos
Gilgamesh
storyline. The fact that we didn't have a buildup of all those actors to become the Eternals, we just met them all at one shot, and yet I felt like I got to know each one of them. It was insane, man. Eternals, it actually doesn't get a lot of credit that it deserves.
Mm-hmm.
It is a little weird and a little bit like just kind of story more than action, but I think it was a good movie, man. Eternals kind of surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
How about movie wise for you, B?
I'm actually gonna agree with you like wholeheartedly. I think Eternals doesn't get the rep it deserves. Like it wasn't okay. Like it wasn't a great movie, but I thought that story-wise it lent very well. I have the same gripe. Like at first when we watched it, I was like, this movie would be a great movie if it wasn't a Marvel movie. Like the story on its own really holds up. I was like, oh shit, that makes a lot of sense. Like that actually works really well. But I'm thinking in the grand scheme of things, like I really actually thought that the movie worked really well for those characters. I also have a big problem with the head and the hand sticking out of the earth and no one saying a single thing about it. That's actually a big problem for me. But like it's pretty noticeable from space. So like
it's gotta be. It's definitely gotta be.
Right? But like I thought that the idea behind that story and how it built itself and lend itself to what could be a future for Eternals, I thought was actually pretty interesting. I actually genuinely liked it. That and Shang-Chi, Shang-Chi for obvious reasons. I thought that it was an incredible movie, number one. The fight choreography was great, especially something so different than what we're used to in the MCU. Like, yeah, we have plenty of fight choreography, but this is a straight up kung fu movie. Like, this is like, that's what he's about.
Yeah.
And then, just the acting in, Shang-Chi in general, like, our Mandarin, for him to be, Wen Wu and not the Mandarin, making jokes about it, and his character and the dynamic of a father and a son, just that whole intertwining story, I thought was so well executed. And like Al, I'm like, oh, we're going to space. Phase 4 is space. Like, fuck yeah, Phase 4 is space. And then they're like, no, we're not going to space. We're going to keep introducing all these space people, but fuck space. Like,
Yeah, man. So, I mean, listen, before we start talking about the future, one last thing for Phase 4 so far. What is the worst plot thread left off for you guys, man? Like I just mentioned, Eternals. No one has mentioned the big robot-looking god that's hanging out of the Indian Ocean. No one's mentioned a single thing about it. But there's been a lot of little drop-offs. We got Shang-Chi with the beacon. Haven't heard anything about the beacon since. We have WandaVision. WandaVision led into Doctor Strange a little bit, but that was kind of weird. We got Thor with the Valhalla scene. Like, what's really going on with Valhalla? We got a couple of different things in these shows. You know what I mean? So it's like, is there any one thread that's like just picking at your brain like that? I need to know what's going on with that. How about for you, Al?
For me, it would be how they left off WandaVision and supposedly had that lead into Multiverse of Madness.
Right.
To me, again, it bothered me that you have the whole show be the arc of Wanda doing this heinous act, which is taking over these people's minds and making them live a life that was making in an attempt to make herself happy. Like, in essence,
Right.
she kidnapped a town full of people and then controlled them and made them do what she wanted. And you supposedly had an arc where she was at the end supposedly attempting to redeem herself.
Right.
Then to have that switch off, and now she's immediately the big bad in the beginning of Multiverse of Madness, to the point,
switch,
kid, to the point where I'm sure you guys have heard of the deleted beginning scene of what, like, if she was going to be that evil from jump. I don't see how I still can't see how they got there from the end of WandaVision to that. Like, how do you
in case you guys out there don't know what Al's talking about, she was supposed to behead Baron Mordo from our 616 universe. That was supposed to be the start of the
he was
movie.
supposed to come and get rid of her as part of his mission to get rid of witches and wizards. And in the battle, she beheads him. Like, how do you have her get to be that evil in the beginning of the movie? And you've done nothing to show that transition other than a quick flash scene that she read a book. She was reading the Darkhold. Like, that to me was the biggest, okay, I don't see that. Like, I didn't see that coming. I still, even after seeing it come, don't see how we got there. And to me, that was the biggest one.
The one for me is also WandaVision. And that was this guy that was in the witness protection program. How we do not pay that off? Who is in the witness protection program?
Did we ever find out who it was?
I think they were trying to insinuate that the what's his name, the brother, he was playing Boner, Eric Boner. I think they were trying to insinuate that he was the person, but I'm not even sure. I think they were just saying that he was an actor. So who the hell was the person that was in the witness protection program? If you're not gonna fucking talk about it, why bring it up? Like what? Don't tell me those things. My other favorite in WandaVision was, I have a friend who could build that. and everybody's like,
God.
"Oh shit, she's talking
Yeah,
about Reed
no.
Richards."
I have a friend in the military.
And it
Wink,
literally was
wink.
just some guy from the military.
Mephisto.
He'll appear in the next
It was
episode.
literally a girl for the military.
It was just like a friend from the military.
Mephisto will be in.
So that plot thread for me is always picking at my head, like they never paid that off. Who is the person that was in the witness protection program? But yeah, anyway, man. B, how about for you, man? Anything that in these TV shows or movies where they're like the post credit or the ending was like leading to something, and we just haven't talked about it since.
I mean, I don't know if it's like I'm assuming this is probably going to be like one of the plot points for Captain America 4, but just the whole Sharon Carter being the power broker thing.
Yes,
like
yes.
if you take that bit of information and bring it back to the beginning of the series, you would see how that literally makes no sense. Like I understand what they were trying to do, but there was literally a scene where they took Sharon to the guy who made the serum, the guy she hired to make the serum. And then they went there, and the guy she hired to make the serum was shot by the guys she hired to shoot the guy who made the serum who she hired. What? Like, she just hired a whole bunch of people to do some shit. Like, you know, like, it just didn't make any sense. Like, and if you take that bit of information and literally bring it back to episode 1, you're like, why? You know, like, and then to introduce the Kingpin in Hawkeye, and just like, why even have a power broker when you have the Kingpin? It would have made so much more sense to have the Kingpin be operating in Madripoor and then bring him back to New York City. Like, you know, like, there's no reason to have Sharon Carter as the power broker.
How about there's no reason to have the Kingpin if you're gonna shoot him in the last episode? What the fuck was that?
Okay.
I'm sure he didn't actually get shot, because they didn't actually show it, so I don't think he's actually dead. But like, between the power broker and what's the other one? The other one that really grinds my gears. There's one that really grinds my gears, and I can't even think about it.
B, you might want to back up off the mic a little bit, man. You're like yelling at everybody right now.
Well, I'm serious. I mean it.
Holy shit.
I forget. There's one that like drives me crazy. It's like this one little minute thing. I can't even think about it right now.
Bradley's like,
But
I
I
hate
think-
Marvel. I hate Marvel.
Fuck the power broker.
Nah, definitely, man. I get that, man. Those are some of the
man.
things that there's kind of like, why? All right. So
Yeah.
let me listen. Let's get to the future of Phase 4, right? So for Phase 4, I'm going to give you guys a list of the movies that are left for Phase 4. There's actually 5 movies left. We got Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Marvels, and Fantastic Four to end Phase 4. So those are the films. As far as the TV series go, we still got She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. We have some kind of a Halloween special coming out. The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, Secret Invasion, Ironheart, Armor Wars, and an untitled Wakanda Project. So we still got like 5-6 things for each one. We have 5 movies, 6 shows still to go for Phase 4. No Avengers, no real team up here thing that I see. So I think the big thing for Phase 4 is looking like Black Panther, Wakanda Forever plus Fantastic Four. I would hope Secret Invasion was something bigger than just a TV show, but it is a series that's on Disney Plus there for some reason. So with the future, let's talk about the future there, Al. I mean, I know you had brought up before, the ending of Miss Marvel, which is they said the word, Al. Not only did they say the word mutants out,
did the song.
they said mutations. They did,
Yeah.
they did the X-Men thing.
I feel like that's so unnecessary anymore. Like that's like we did it once. Like, please stop doing it.
Okay.
They just have a fucking like a podcast. They just have a button that they keep pressing. But
right?
mean,
Like,
but it's like
I'm feeling
there's
a little weird. Shwing.
I feel like there's still no through line in what I just read to you guys. I
No,
feel like
no.
those are more shows about movies and TV shows just introducing more characters. So is phase 4 just here are all the characters that we have? And it's
Yeah.
like even out like if you think about it, them mentioning the word mutants and playing the X-Men theme song in the movies that I just mentioned, there's no space for X-Men. There is no space for mutants.
Well, no, well, actually, no. The one that from what I'm hearing in rumors, may
Go for it.
expand on that, and that's why they touched on it quickly. What is She-Hulk?
Okay.
Because she's going to be defending, I think, enhanced. Because remember, I think that was their word for it in the beginning was enhanced individuals.
Yeah, that was Cap's word. We have
Yeah, there's an
enhanced
enhanced in the
individuals.
field. Yeah. So, um, so I'm wondering if that's where they're going to bring in some of these other mutants and
Right.
then use that to, I guess, gauge interest and then springboard into maybe their own shows, movies, etc. Because from what I'm understanding, I mean, everything's rumor at this point, but I think the Thing might be showing his first appearance in She-Hulk as one of her, clients,
Right.
so to speak. So I could see them using She-Hulk to further, not completely expand on, but
Mhm.
continue that touching on mutants and leading to their eventual, just incorporation into the MCU.
Right.
Um, and then the other one that I'm looking forward to, because I think it can with the most possibility in terms of bringing stuff together, is Ant-Man and Quantumania,
Right.
because that's where, like you said, Kang is supposed to come back, and now you can let Kang be loose because he's not in a Disney Plus show. He's going to be in a movie. So now
Right.
you can let Kang be Kang and show us how you're going to bring this stuff together. And this is where you can have the most potential in doing that, is in that movie and showing how maybe all of this multi-dimension or multi-universe situation is going to play out.
Gotcha, man.
So that's the one where I'm hoping that's going to give us the next direction in terms of where that's going.
Mhm.
Again, I think it's still separate from the gods and all that. So that, to me, that could be Secret Invasion,
Mhm.
or that Secret Invasion could just deal with the Krills and that war. Again, I'm at a loss. So the only two that are giving me any ideas would be She-Hulk, to touch on the mutant reference in Ms. Marvel,
Mhm.
and then Ant-Man to tell us what we're doing with Kang and the multiverse.
Gotcha, man. Honestly, man, after seeing what they've done with all the WandaVision and Falcon the Winter Soldier and all these other Disney Plus shows, I really don't have high expectations that we're going to see something brand new. I think we're going to deal with like, our real heroes that we've already seen getting sued or, I don't even think it's going to be a lot of that. I think it's going to be a lot of She-Hulk and how she becomes She-Hulk and that story. And then it'll get into some of these cases where she's helping out some of her fellow, you know, I guess you could say Avengers kind of thing, not mutants. Because I feel like with mutants, they're going to wait a little bit. I do think we're going to get, because of comic books, the first mutant is Namor. So I feel like they're going to wait, because even though they said that there was a mutation in Miss Marvel or in Kamala Khan, the mutation didn't take effect yet. It was just that it was there, and I think Brandon, you could correct me if I'm wrong on this. In the comic books, the mutations that are in these individual human beings, it becomes active in some kind of like stressful or some kind of like puberty part of their life, or something like extraneous happens where it comes out all of a sudden. And I don't know if those situations have happened just yet, or if they're stating that mutants are in here already. But I don't know if they're going to really bring out mutants, especially in this phase. I can see Namor being the first mutant that they talk about. I can see some Doctor Doom coming out sometime soon because of that Fantastic Four coming down the road. But I'm really not sure how much of mutants we're really going to get in this phase. So I'm still a little bit like, where are we going? What are we doing? And how about you, B? What's your thoughts of the future here with these movies and TV shows?
You know, I just feel like in terms of where we're going here, I hope there's like a thread,
Mm.
of because like even like as much as they keep playing the 97 X-Men theme, like with them releasing the 97 X-Men, well, the re-release of the new ending of their cartoon, I don't want it to be like the cartoon is now including Avengers and such. Like is that a nod to the 97 cartoon now?
Right.
So like I'm just hoping that what happens soon is like we get some leeway what's happening in certain areas. Like I still feel like we're still trying to send like the MCU into space. I still think we're starting also to go into the multiverse. So I feel like those are the two big areas, and they're gonna try and
Mm.
find ways to get people there. Like I like thinking about Secret Invasion. There's no way they can have Sword and not introduce Spider Woman. Like
Mm.
it's just they can't, especially with Sony working on you know, Madam Web. Like there's no way that Sword operates without Spider Woman. Like so I feel like
Yeah.
they're gonna be finding ways to get characters into these areas. Like Shang-Chi was there's a beacon. Well, that beacon has to be reached somehow. Is he going to space or is the beacon pulling him through some kind
Mm.
of realm? So I think that's where we're kind of going is either going in through the multiverse into certain things or going to
Mm.
space.
All right, and then I
And I
guess
think
the
that could be
oh, go
like a
for it, B.
Fantastic Four thing. Oh, sorry.
Gotcha.
Like,
No, no, it's okay.
Fantastic Four was a satellite. They were in the space station when they got hit by something and that caused the reaction. So,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like space could be how we end this whole phase off with phase 4.
Gotcha, man. Yeah, man. I mean, I think for me, like the one thing that I do want to see in Phase 4, to be honest with you guys, with Fantastic Four coming out, is Doctor Doom. I think we need a villain, a big villain. And I think there's no bigger villain than Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Thanos is pretty much up there, but I want somebody formidable on Earth that's gonna be like, how do we stop this guy? And there's rumors of Doctor Doom being in Black Panther Wakanda forever,
Hmm.
trying to steal the I was gonna say
Vibranium.
plutonium. It's not plutonium, but the
Vibranium.
vibranium.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I want to see Doctor Doom because I want to see a new bad guy. I'm tired of seeing all these heroes. I mean, as much as I love the heroes, I love my original heroes. I want Iron Man and Captain America back.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I was just thinking today. I'm like, if my son starts watching the MCU right now, he won't know Iron Man and Captain America's story, and they're the best. You know what I mean? Like they just missed out on Iron Man and Captain America. You know what I mean? Like so, because from what I'm seeing, especially with that freaking Miss Marvel thing with the mutants, I feel like they're going towards mutants now.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the Avengers story is pretty much kind of wrapped up and they've used the big guys already, now they can go into the big guys of the X-Men that were famous and people bought all those comic books, and they'll forget about the Avengers eventually and just deal with X-Men's mutants and all that stuff like that down the road. But man, there's a part of me that wants to get back to Captain America again and to see him again, or a different version of Captain America. But I just feel like, I don't know, man. I think like I said, I want to see in the future, for right now, for MCU Phase 4, I personally want to see Doctor Doom. Al, is there somebody or something that you want to see in Phase 4?
Just for as big of a character as he was when Hugh Jackman played him, I want to see who you're going to do for Wolverine, because
Okay.
when you have the X-Men, Wolverine is a big part of that. Like you have to get
Right.
him right in order for the rest of the X-Men to feel right as well. So
Gotcha.
that's going to be a very important casting. I mean, my favorite character has always been Cyclops, but
Yeah.
as much as he's the leader of the team, you always had Wolverine be the, so to speak, the heart. Like like again, if you don't get him right, you're gonna mess up everything else of that team. So I'd love to see who they cast and how they portray him this time.
Gotcha. B, anything major, big, or somebody that you want to see in Phase 4 before we get to Phase 5?
You know, I'm torn between I want to see Kang, like I want to see Kang, you know,
Gotcha.
and so like back when I called it during Endgame when we're talking about time and stuff, I'm like, oh fuck, Kang is coming, like when that was happening, I was pumped for Kang. So now that we have this whole Kang potential storyline, I don't want that to end with Ant-Man. Like me thinking about it right now, if we have Kang and Ant-Man, and then we have all these things that don't talk about Kang anymore, like I mean, maybe Fantastic Four might, but like, when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wow, like this is like the last time we might see Kang until Loki season 2.
Right.
Like I want Kang. And beyond that, I think this is an odd choice, like kind of going down Al's line of things. I feel like I really want to see a Hank McCoy.
You want to see Beast? Okay.
I want to see Beast.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if we're introducing the X-Men, I feel like one of the best ways to introduce, other than like showing Charles Xavier again or Wolverine or Cyclops, is just to give a subtle nod to someone who's pretty smart, and just introduce Hank McCoy.
Yeah, man. Oh, that sounds amazing, man. And listen, there's a lot of mutants, a lot of characters that I would want to see, and a lot of teams that can end up coming. I'm curious to know, man. With this whole thing with Miss Marvel showing a mutation, are you guys expecting something big to happen in the MCU that's going to awaken this mutation? Like I thought it would have been the Thanos snap. That's I think everybody's assumption was going to be the Thanos snap. Are you guys expecting something else? Because clearly we're not going to get the Terrigen Mist. That's not going to happen because it looks like they're going a different route than the Inhuman route there. So Brandon, talk to me, man. You big comic book follower. What's bringing the mutants? A universe, or is this mutant gene that's in Miss Marvel going to come out of everybody now?
I feel like as of late, we have all these new terms: Nexus event, incursion. I feel like if we were going to have mutants come into the MCU, it can't be that they were always in New Jersey just waiting for something to happen. Like I can't see it, so I feel like in order for these mutants to actually show up in the MCU, I feel like either some kind of Nexus event is going to happen, or maybe some kind of incursion is going to bring them into the MCU as we know it.
Gotcha, man. How about for you, Al? What's your expectations, man? Something big's going to happen that's going to just ignite this X gene?
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's what Miss Marvel was setting us up for, because again, she had a mutation, but her powers were supposedly always there, and they allude to the fact that the bracelet activated it. So I'm wondering if there's going to be some level of event again around maybe dimensions or something around that line that releases an energy throughout the world, and that's what activates everybody's mutation.
Right.
Which would explain again why they were always here, but they didn't display themselves because it took this event to activate their mutation.
Gotcha.
And that's the only thing I could see them doing to, again, bring out these people that were always there, but all of a sudden now have all these abilities. And I would think and I think that's what Ms. Marvel is setting us up for. Not that there's because B, correct me if I'm wrong, she was an Inhuman in the comics and was activated by that Terrigen Mist. So I'm wondering if they're going to get rid of Inhumans within the MCU, but give their origin story to the mutants, and that some event, some mist, something activated these dormant powers that these mutations had allotted these people to have.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be crazy, man. I'm looking forward. Like, listen, as much as I've been a little disappointed with Phase 4, I'm still excited for every Marvel movie that's gonna be coming out. You know, I cannot wait for. I think it's Comic-Con is in San Diego this year, and it's I think Marvel's there this year, right? And that's this weekend.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I think supposedly I heard they're announcing the cast. Well, rumor is they're going to give the cast of Fantastic Four, like who's been cast.
Something else to talk about on Sunday. Oh, we'll talk about it either Sunday or Monday. But yeah, man. I mean, I'm hoping for a Black Panther Wakanda Forever trailer to kind of like get a feel for like just. I'm tired of the rumors of Namor. Show me Namor. You know, like what is happening in this movie. I still want to
Yeah.
see what is going on. And I'm curious, about the rest of the movies. Again, the Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantum Mania sounds insane. So I want to see what's going on with that. And as far as the Marvel TV shows, I am looking forward to, She-Hulk, the Attorney at Law. I'm looking for that, and I'm looking forward to Secret Invasion, even though I'm upset it's not a movie. But let's see what happens, man. Let's see what comes of it, man. It should be exciting, and it's again more things to talk about, more things to know about and see and experience in these theaters, man. But listen, we're gonna wrap it up right here because we're going way past the hour because you know how we could do with MCU. We could keep going. But this week, actually, besides Comic-Con, we have the horror/mystery movie Nope coming out this Thursday. So, I think the fellas and I are going to try to watch that this week. So we'll give you hopefully a review for Nope. We're going to see how things work out. So Nope is coming out this week for anybody who's listening still, because we've been going for over an hour on the Marvel MCU. So Nope comes out. So we'll try to get a watch of that and see, like, we can read behind the lines of what the movie's really about, so Nope comes out. So we'll talk to you guys next week in regards to anything we hear about San Diego Comic-Con and anything with the MCU. And again, hopefully a review for that movie Nope when it comes out from Jordan Peele there. So listen, coming out of Long Island, New York, we got our man Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
We got my brother B.
Adios, everybody.
Myself, Hav, saying what's up, and thank you guys for listening. Please hit the plus symbol on your podcast playlist. Hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. We come to you every single week talking about what we love the most, which is movies, movie news, movie rumors, MCU, DCEU, and all these action movies, man. We love these action movies too, man. So, so come back to us. And again, we'll be back next week with another podcast. We'll catch you guys on the next episode, the Nope review and San Diego Comic-Con review. Until next time.